here in 2000, we had 19 people in the company. The inventory was right next to my desk. I was sitting on an egg crate. At the heart of Under Armour has always been this burning question: why can't there be something better? And that is the heart of entrepreneurship, and it's the heart of our brand. From that little kernel of an idea of an entrepreneur, we've built a $2 billion multinational global brand. As we tend to go into different categories, different product lines, different consumers, we have to prove ourselves again.
Do you hear that? Footsteps.
And it comes back to the same question. Why can't there be something better?
They're moving faster. Getting louder.
Being a team sports brand from the very beginning, we had a very distinct consumer. But then as we built out a product line that serviced the top athletes in the world, the brand grew organically.
The question is, do you hear footsteps, or are they hearing yours?
At the very early stages, when we were telling people about our brand, we'd have to refer to a football player and say, you see the tight long sleeves that they wear, or the mock turtleneck? That's what we do. And then we'd have to tell people why all these players and athletes are wearing these crazy tight shirts. It wasn't just because they had great physiques. It was because it was working for them. It was making them better. It was pulling the sweat off their bodies. It was making them cooler, faster, and lighter. And for the first 5 years, when it was only print advertising and basically word of mouth, Under Armour survived on the promise and the pledge that we're going to make you better. When we finally got to the stage where we're able to make a television commercial, and these are in the days before YouTube, the days before you're watching any video online, we had one chance, 30 seconds, to talk to a consumer. We made a big decision, and this is an important marketing decision, to say, no, let's not take 30 seconds and bore people with the technology. Let's take 30 seconds and get them revved up and passionate about our brand. And let's have that 30 seconds not only give athletes or players something that they can yell as a rallying cry for themselves, but let's use it to tell them about our brand. So if you think about those words in that first 30 seconds, it's, we started this thing, now we're on top, everyone's trying to knock us off. We must protect this house.
And we must protect this house.
Meaning we started performance apparel. We've heard from every retailer in the world that the big guys, Nike, Adidas, everyone's coming to knock you off. And it was a challenge to us to say, we're going to protect our house. And the answer, of course, from the team was, I will.
I will.
That translates to everyone. That translates into every country. That translates into every language. That translates to the female consumer. I will is that confirmation of, I'm going to get my run in today. I'm going to get to karate today. I am going to do my laps today. It's a confirmation for any athlete, male, female, around the world. In the earliest days, we would use real, authentic athletes. You probably didn't know them. Big E, the spiritual leader of the brand, the guy who yells, protect his house, the guy we built the brand with. His name's Eric Abagu, and he played 9 years in the NFL. But you didn't know him really as a player. You knew him as Big E from the commercials. And that was done by plan. We didn't want to put too much stock into any athlete name because we were telling our story. We've always had a statement that no one athlete is bigger than the brand. So we've stuck to that. And we made sure that the brand comes first and the athletes wear it by choice.
Ambassadors, or really as I like to look at them more, partners, are really critical in our space. Kids looking up to athletes. They want to know what they eat and sleep and drink, and certainly what they wear. And when you look at a Cam Newton, when you look at a Tom Brady, and they come into our building and we sit down with them, we're talking about the partnership. We're talking about how they feel we should be developing products to make them perform on the field in their craft. We're talking about how we helping them with their brand. What philanthropies are important to them. How are they feeling about the season, about the next coming season? How are they feeling about the partnership with Under Armour? Are we listening to them? Sure, there's a financial arrangement. I mean, that's business, right? But there's companies that can outspend us. If it's just about the money, the athletes change, and they're not partners. They're just ambassadors. They're just paid endorsers. So we started off with the athletes that we could partner with. Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian of all time, who's a Baltimore kid. And he eats and sleeps and breathes this brand. And when you talk about an Under Armour type of athlete, and that will of the athlete, you know, Michael dragged himself out of bed every morning at 5 a.m. and jumped into a cold pool for year on year on year to get to where he's gotten. Lindsay's a great brand partner. She's got so much passion, so much drive, so much heart, and she wants to be seen as a multifaceted woman. She wants to be seen as beautiful, elegant, and she also wants to be seen and respected as one of the world's top athletes and a decorated Olympian. Bryce Harper is a great example. A young phenom, Washington national. They don't know that he grew up in Las Vegas, that his father works laying steel rebar, and they'd be out there taking BP at 130-degree heat when he's, 13 years old. So we're looking for athletes who've got that drive and that passion. Maybe didn't draft in the first round, or the second or the third, but they're driving for that World Series championship. That's what we're doing as a brand, and that's what we're looking for out of our athlete partners.
All about the voice and the message that we want to put forth and how we choose them. The key is that we don't ever bank on one particular athlete. You don't typically see large product lines or separate brands for an athlete. We're not banking on anyone else's brand. It's always about Under Armour first. In the very early days of Under Armour, really again before the YouTube craze came and people could really get video online, you had sports on TV. It wasn't really getting, DVR wasn't really in play. So you had one chance, and you want to take a big bang, and you want to be on the biggest game, or on the biggest sports center, or take your swings during those big viewing moments. The diversification of media since then, and particularly in the digital world, offers a lot of benefits to a more nimble and innovation-focused brand like ourselves, and we can take our chances and do things a lot differently via social media, digital. So those challenges for some other brands that were probably more established in their ways have opened up the doors for us to reach more people, particularly since our consumer is younger and more comfortable with new technology, new media. It's given us a chance to reach them on a much different level. So if we're going for a new consumer in basketball, a new consumer in team sports, it's easier for us to reach them through social media and digital media.
Integrated marketing is critical. It's just about connecting with consumers, and I think each of the media vehicles have their use. Are you making sure that your digital buy is aligned with your spots and dots and TV? And then when you do get them into digital, does that then connect to a great mobile experience? Does that connect to a great online experience? Are all these sorts of touch points integrated? And we make sure that the flow that the consumer goes through makes sense.
This is what fast feels like.
As we start to work our way through the communication touch point, and they get into digital, they get into social, they get to our site, we make that story evolve, we tell more, we get deeper. It's inexpensive, and you can have consumers sort of tell your story for you, extend your story. It's also a huge opportunity to have kind of a bi-directional piece of communication element to your campaign. So as opposed to just a TV commercial that pulses out and that's it, you just sort of shout at the consumer, now they can also shout back. There's more transparency now than there ever has been in the past. The ability to get information is like nothing it's ever been before, and the BS meter is cranked to 10. You better be telling a story that's true, you better be selling a product that's going to deliver on your promise, and then just make sure that you communicate at all the touch points and have them all connected.
I don't have a rap demo. I grew up in a nice neighborhood with food on the table, and 3 years ago, I was a nobody.
Basketball is a really interesting space. It's culture unto itself. We've got some great partners. Brandon Jennings is one of them. Kemba Walker is another one. We just signed Steph Curry from the Golden State Warriors. And so I think, where we were born on the football field as a brand, and Under Armour has been extraordinarily resonant and authentic in that space, we have to do the same thing within the basketball space. And oftentimes it's a different kid with a different mentality, and they want to be talked to differently.
Footwear for a basketball player is sacred. And it's not just about performance, it's about style, it's about brand and what that statement is. And let's be honest, basketball players grew up with other brands, and they knew other brands through great big marketing programs. So there was a challenge for us. We took a pause when we really started to launch basketball footwear, that how do we get into the mall consumer, how do we get into new distribution? And really, what are they looking for? What is that basketball player looking for beyond brand? How do we convince them to change and look at something new? So it was quite a challenge. And it took a large group of people, from product to innovation to marketing to PR to sports marketing, to all get together and really hammer through what we needed to do to crack that market. We had some current players, NBA players, we had college coaches come in, and we just had really a good long session. They wanted Under Armour to get into basketball the way we get into every other sport, meaning that they wanted to hear Under Armour in their own voice. And they look at Under Armour as a hard work brand. They would look at Under Armour as the brand who's going to outwork anybody, not the flashy brand, not the brand who's going to be raising the championship banner in next year, the next 2 years, but the brand is going to be working harder to get there for years 3, 4, and 5 and beyond. They wanted to see us in our own voice, but translated to the basketball world. And that was an important gut check for us.
So no matter where I go, I always stay grounded in the state of here. Are you from here?
Are You From Here was a piece of communication that we put out. Went out in the form of a campaign, had all the different, the media elements, from broadcast media to digital and social. That really resonated. It came from an insight, which is, a lot of the basketball kids are coming up out of the inner city, and it's a lifestyle. It's a way out. So that "Are you from here" was sort of like, if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. Meaning, do you get it? You get this sport. So a really, really strong message, really one that resonated. We're looking to infuse that sort of "Are you from here" ethos into "I Will," and make sure "I Will" resonates with that basketball kid for consistency. One of the lines that I heard thrown around in the building that still sticks with me is, the world's not looking for another shoe company. Nobody's walking down the street saying, man, I need some other brand to come out and make a shoe, because there's just not enough of those guys out there. So we got to make sure we're not that. If we're producing a product, it's for a purpose, it's for a reason.
Are you from here?
From a branding angle, women's offered a few challenges for us. The ironic thing is, once we started hiring some really good women's designers and opening up the product line to color and style, our business has been growing 30+% a year. But from a marketing standpoint, we felt like we still weren't reaching the female consumer in a way that was emotional. That gave us a little bit of a chance to sit back and say, how are we going to connect better with them? So from the product standpoint, that meant loosening up the reins a little bit, because we're not a fashion brand. And that's important. And again, it's not unlike basketball. People want to hear about your brand in your voice in the right way. They don't want you to pretend to be somebody you're not. And, you know, and the What's Beautiful program that we put out, I think really hit that on the head of women work out hard and they have their goals and they're going to go after things. And that confirmation, again, back to the tagline of I will, is very important to them. It's an empowering statement to them to be able to say, you know, I will get this done today. And relying on that with the great new product really helped us get over that hump and have us considered as a women's brand. Not just a men's brand who makes some women's product, but a women's sports brand.
The female market's critical. It's huge. I mean, women buy more than men. And so with women, you know, I think we started out and we're extremely strong with what we call Team Girl. You know, she wore us basically as she was growing up and on the team, on the field, you know, up through kind of college. And then what we found is we kind of lost her from there. Didn't acknowledge the other parts of her life. You know, didn't acknowledge the to and from the field or the gym or the studio. You know, didn't acknowledge yoga or overall just kind of the health and the mind, body sort of spirit that really is important to her.
Stay hungry.
We have to look at the many facets of her and make sure we're resonating in each of those spaces. So that's an area we've made a lot of strides. We brought new people into the organization to kind of help us get there. From a overall marketing perspective, from a channel of distribution perspective, making sure we are where she shops. The sporting goods is extremely critical to us and will continue to be. But we also know she shops at the mall. We also know that she's, you know, at Nordstrom's, that she's at Macy's. We know that she wants to shop more boutique, so through our own Under Armour brand stores, make sure we have a great experience there.
Good morning, beauties.
So excited for round 3.
My goal in the next 9 weeks is to continue to break the mold for female athletes.
My goal.
What's Beautiful was born as a social community. That was by design, and the idea was to really invite women into the brand and tell them kind of who we are and what we're all about, and how we're looking to empower athletes, male athletes as well as female athletes. And so we came up with What's Beautiful, and the idea was for you know, women to help us define and redefine what is beautiful, and it's in that vein of I will, that spirit. And then from that, you know, we leveraged it into events. We had events on campus. We had events in store. We had events where women would have meetups in Central Park and create workouts. We leveraged a lot of digital media to get awareness and drive to the What's Beautiful community. And then a lot of, you know, social media channels to get exposure as well. We had a campaign that launched about the same time that leveraged a lot of traditional media, so, you know, broadcast and print and digital, that was called Sweat Every Day, to, you know, drive women towards the community. The campaign wasn't called What's Beautiful, and the call to action wasn't go there. The campaign was really around, you know, here's who we are for her, and to generate that above the line awareness. And it's been interesting to see with our stores where we've really created, I think, that experience. We've brought in our retail partners and they've looked at it and used it as design inspiration. So I think you'll see a stronger, more evolved message from us within the sporting goods channel as well. Under Armour with Protect This House I Will. I think there's few brands out there who have more impactful, a more emotionally connecting brand statement as Protect This House I Will. If you look on Google Images, you'll see just under 1 billion images created by consumers leveraging Protect This House. There are teams out there that have actually created their own Protect This House drills and workouts. And as a marketer, when you start to see consumers adopting your messaging and making it their own, that's huge. I mean, that's success. You know, you don't have to look that far to the number of brands out there, iconic and otherwise, that have fallen. Oftentimes they've fallen because they've lost sight of who they are. And when you lose sight of who you are as a brand, consumers are going to definitely lose sight of who you are. Consumers are demanding more. Competitors are getting faster. The global landscape is changing daily. And we've got to continue to think of ourselves as the underdog, have that spirit. The brand's doing phenomenal things. big, bold, disruptive messaging. I'd say gritty, humble, and hungry. I mean, those are some big kind of key communications elements that we want to make sure are consistent. And that real underdog fighting mentality.
The key for our growth is to constantly innovate. The exciting thing is that we can get to, and will get to, $2 billion in another 2 weeks in sales without having sold a shirt in India, without really having a store open in China yet, without really having a lot of the biggest markets in the world given the opportunity to buy Under Armour. And that's really when you start looking at the growth and the exponential growth that our brand has, that's the exciting part. And we have executives from all over the world in different industries, and they all come in here. It's an entirely different mentality than they've ever heard before, because it is a focus on big ideas and yet get the details right. And if you want to grow, you have to be very critical of yourselves, and you really have to take a step back and not just let something go by because it's okay. You have to be focused on, how do I make something great?
I just tell them one thing. I will.
Multi-billion dollars, global brand. It still comes back to that question that Kevin Plank started the brand on. Why isn't there something better?
Esa es la diferencia.
Hey, excuse me. Hey, how you doing? Hey, can you tell me where the Under Armour Cold Black golf gear is? Yeah, I just, moved out here and haven't had a chance to unpack my golf stuff, so I'm kind of looking for some. Sure.
Wow. Are you
Tom
from
Brady.
Boston? Your accent. Hey, where's the Under Armour?
Yeah, I don't have a Boston accent. I play football in Boston.
Sorry, man, I can't understand a word you're saying. You're like, hey, what do you mean? I ain't got no Boston accent. Just say something and I'll spitball with you.
No, I really don't
Go
want to.
Sox. Hey, that's some wicked hot chowder.
What?
I'm doing an impersonation of you. I'm an actor.
I don't even sound like that.
You sound a lot. You sound like that.
I sound nothing like that.
I beg to differ. You really just gotta try the lobster.
Is there anyone else that can help me?
No. You know, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, now that's a good band. You know what band I love more? Boston.
I'm actually from San Mateo, so...
Oh, San Mateo, Massachusetts? That's really funny, actually. There's a San Mateo here in California. I gotta show people... Hey, everybody, get a load of this Boston guy. Well, they should hear you.
You play football.
No, fly from Boston.
Yeah.
No, why would you even say that?
Man, yeah. Your accent is ridiculous. Oh, man, get a picture of me and this nut, Judia.
Okay, say Bostonian, goofball.
Bostonian.
Hey, are you Matt Damon?
No.
Oh.
I knew it. Affleck.
Hey, man, you must get so hot here all the time, right? Because your blood's thicker? You want me to grab you some water?
No.
Water?
No.
How about some baked beans?
No. You know why? Because I'm not from Boston. I'm from California. I'm a native Californian. I went to Michigan. Now I play for New England. I'm the f***ing quarterback, you moron.
You know, you look a lot like that, Standy. Yeah, it's uncanny.
Him?
Yeah. Well, you don't need to go knocking it over like that.
I am the guy on the standee!
I am the guy on the friggin' standee!
Oh my, Matt Damon, shame on you. He lost his wife in those Bourne movies, but I don't feel bad for him at all.
I'm gonna go and kick that guy's butt.
Well, do you look like a reader? Maybe you need some help.
Go help him, honey.
You can't treat people like that.
I take a Zumba class. I can dance kick him